Alright, between the previous video and this video, I've been caching my animation just to see how my shot is looking like with the animation. And I think it's important to do it once in a while to know what's going on with the animation. Okay, and I think that right now it looks pretty good. But there is still a few things I'd like to do. And in this video, I'd like to increase the camera movement. And we are going to be able to do that with a transform node and animation. All right, I will pause the video for now here. And I will create a transform node right after my merge 10 here. And for that, I will use the shortcut T. Perfect. And I will insert that node right here. Okay, cool. And now let's move a little bit that. So remember, if you don't see that little gizmo, it's because your overlay is off. And to toggle on and off is the Q key, or you can as well do a right click and select overlay here. Okay, cool. Now, I will need to increase a little bit the size of my image because if I start moving that guy around, I will creating black bars and it's not what I'd like to do. So I will come here in the scale and I will increase it by 10%. So I will type 1.1. 10% I think is a good threshold, a good habit to have. Don't increase too much the scale of your images because you will lose a lot in quality. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, but I think that 10% it's a little bit, personally, it's a little bit my limit. All right, now that we've been increasing the size of the image, as you can see, we have a bounding box. And those are all the extra pixels we are going to be able to use to create our fake camera animation on the top of our shot. So now I will come to the first frame. My first frame is the frame 1001 in my case, all right? And I will move that gizmo a little bit to place it more or less like that. You know, you can do whatever you want, but this is what I like to do to pan from left to right as the shot goes on. Okay, perfect. Now that I've positioned this thing, I need to create an animation key. And for that, I will simply come in the properties bin here, and I will click on that little menu here. If you leave your mouse on top of it, you can see animation menu. So it's probably here that we're gonna find what we want. I will click on that guy and I will click on set key. And there we go. We've been creating our first animation key, a keyframe. And this is important to notice that here now those controls turned blue. This means this parameter is animated, and when it's blue like that, it means that we are on the keyframe. You can see as well that here on your timeline, you have that frame which is blue now. And this means, hey, we have a keyframe at the frame 1001. In order to see the keyframes, you need the node which is animated to be open. So if I close the transform properties here, I don't see that blue keyframe anymore. Also, another pretty handy feature in Nuke, now that I've been created animated values inside the nodes, I will have that little red tag with an A on the top of my node that specifies that this node is animated. And it's handy because it's easy to forget which node has animated keys. Okay, now we'll open the transform again. As you can see, we can see our blue keyframe here again. Now, we created only one keyframe, so nothing will happen. But we are going to go at the end of our shot, and we are going to create another animation key. So I will come to frame 1089, and here, as you can see, it's not the same color anymore. It's a dark gray versus like a pretty saturated gray here. Well, it means that this parameter is animated, but I'm currently not on a keyframe. Okay, so I will come here and I will move my gizmo. And now this turns blue, like saturated blue. And it means that we created a keyframe here. So it's an important thing to know in Nuke. When you've been animated an attribute, Now, this attribute is on auto keyframe mode. It means that if you go anywhere on your timeline and you modify that attribute, in our case the translate here, it will automatically create a keyframe. Alright, so you need to be careful. If you create a keyframe and you didn't want it, well, you can come here. Of course, you need to be on the keyframe here, and you can come to the animation menu and click on delete key, and it will delete that keyframe. Okay, so I've been placing a keyframe at the beginning of my shot and a keyframe at the end of my shot. So now if I play it, I will see that I have an interpolation between those two keyframes. And this is perfectly what I wanted to have. So with the Q key, I could hide the overlay to see a little bit better what's going on. And you may have to type the Q key twice because now we can hide two things in the viewer. We can hide, of course, the gizmo and the bounding box, but as well this little thing here, which is the representation of our interpolated vector. Okay, I think I'm happy for now with the animation. I will smooth it a little bit in the next video. But before ending this video, I'd like to show you another thing. So for now, I've been animated only the translate attribute of my transform nodes. If I want to animate another parameter, for example, the scale, I can do it as well. But I will have to create other keyframes for that, which will be independent than the translate attribute. So for example, I can create a keyframe here and come here and create another keyframe, and there we go. Okay, obviously this is not what I want, but you can do whatever you want. Alright, now I'd like to delete that animation I've been creating in the scale. So for that I will come to the animation menu and come here and click on no animation. Nuke will ask me if I'm sure, so yes. And voila, no more animation of my scale parameter. However, be careful with one thing. Nuke will keep the value of that frame here and set it as the new value of the scale. So you may have to re-enter the correct value for your scale here, which was 1.1. Perfect. Okay, now let's move on to the next clip where we are going to talk about the curve editor. See you there.